Hi, Sasani, and welcome back to Beth Mundoni channel. Today I have a new guest for you. I have a guest for you, and I hope she will help us in any way. Maybe there is somebody who is waiting for such a video, and this is your video. Let her introduce herself. Karibu Rusi.
Asante sana. Hello. Good evening, viewers. My name is Lucy Ombaka. I am a postdoctoral fellow conducting research here in Germany, in Hanover, more specifically in Leibniz University of Hanover. I basically have done already my PhD, and now I'm just doing extra research to sharpen my skills in research, and hence I came to Germany. Beth is a very good friend of mine, and I'm happy to be here to share with whoever might want to come to Germany in terms of research, in terms of maybe master's, PhD, or postdoc. I hope you'll find this relevant. More specifically, my field is chemistry, and that is what I'm doing my research on. But I basically have broad knowledge on science research. Thank you, Beth.
So Rusi, where? These are people who, they are ni machopi. Just tell us, where do you come from, Rusi?
Originally, I come from many parts of Kenya, but I would say I work in Nairobi. And I also teach in Nairobi, but currently I'm only conducting research here in Germany.
Wow. Now tell us how we can get here in Germany in terms of research.
Well, I would say that one of the most direct visas to get to Germany is a research visa. That is mainly because Germany is known to be a hub of innovation, a hub for research, and a hub for science and technology. And the German government supports a lot of programs that basically work on research. So my funder is called the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation Scholarship. And this mainly funds people who have already finished their PhD, but they are looking to further advance networks and also to further advance their research skills. And it gives you a chance to come to Germany for a period of 2 to 3 years. And also for professorship, it also the same. So for my case specifically, all I had to do was to write a small synopsis, not a proposal, 2 or 3 pages with what I want to do. Then with this synopsis, I looked for a German professor who was willing to host my project. And once I got that, I wrote now a bigger project and submitted to the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation for funding. And it went through a rigorous selection process. And by God's grace and by God's guidance, I got the scholarship, and the rest is history. I am here today. Yes. But
So
for other,
Rusi, let me first recognize Karen. I can see you, interesting. Nyanje, you're welcome. Johnston, Karibu, you're welcome. Irene, you're welcome. All of you, Milka, you're welcome. Those are people who are watching us. And I want you to tell us if you can hear us well, because I'm hearing Rusi from afar. I hope you are hearing her. Rusi, just tell me, how do we come to get this? Who helped you in getting this scholarship?
okay. So I would say, if I'm hoping I'm addressing mainly Kenyans. So in Kenya, depending with the level of your education, I would say there are two main sources of research scholarships that you can find. If you have a basic degree and you're looking for a position for masters, or if you have a master's and you're looking for a chance to do a PhD, the best offer is from DAAD. And the DAAD offices, they are there in Nairobi, and when you approach them, they give you full information. Or I'm sure all of you are tech compliant. You can simply Google DAAD Kenya, and you find a link there that gives you all the necessary requirements. So that is normally a very good place to start. If you already have your PhD and you're now looking for a postdoc position, I would say the best is go for an Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. So because again, you are all tech compliant, you could simply Google Alexander von Humboldt Foundation scholarship. And under these, you will see various things. But also for more information, if you get stuck, you can contact me so that I can give you a more direct link to finding this. But these two organizations they mainly cover from master's to PhD to postdoc to a professorship position in Germany. Or even if you want to come to Germany and be a professor or a lecturer, the easiest way to come is through these two foundations.
So do you mean anyone who has this level can get easily this scholarship?
Well, I don't know how, I would not want to comment about easily because they are very competitive processes. Some people get, some people do not get. But then if you know you have the capacity to conduct research, I would say if you have a passion for research, it is worth trying because you never know that you'll not get it until when you try. So for a master's degree, at least you should have gotten you should have completed your undergraduate degree in a recognized university. For a PhD, you should have completed your master's in a recognized university. For a postdoc, you should have completed your PhD also in a recognized university. So as long as you have the basic qualification, the best is to check first in the website. There is a lot of information and the websites actually guide you through it. So the first thing is to identify which level you qualify for, whether you're going for a PhD or a master's, and then to go to these two organizations. A lot of the people I know here in Kenya, here in Hanover, that are doing research are basically in one of these two organizations.
So I am giving the comment there so that you can also be able to answer the questions that I'm getting here. And there is somebody who is saying that we should write the links. The links, I will write them just after we have finished. I will attach them down there so that you people, you can know where to get. Rusi, just tell me, is it any in your department? You said you deal with science. Is it only in science, or are there other departments that one can get this scholarship?
So the scholarship basically from DAAD all the way to Alexander von Humboldt, they cover all fields of research. So the main underlying factor is that it has to be a research-based project. That is the only thing. So they cover from humanities to sciences to medical, all fields are covered. But then you have to bear in mind that it is competitive. So sometimes you get, sometimes you don't get, but then they are all fields. So in my department, we are in a science chemistry department, but some of the friends that I know also who are DAAD are mainly coming from horticulture. I know someone else who also is doing research in education, mwalimu. Someone else who's also doing research in the medical field. So it covers all areas. And
But
I also know people who did in
according to your experience,
history.
according to your experience, which people get this scholarship easy? Because I think that is also a factor.
I would say the easiest is the people who have a very good proposal. So what they look at, what most of the German funders look at, is your proposal and mainly how relevant it is to the sustainable development goals and the vision 2030 that we have. So it is not, I would not say it really depends on the field, but the relevance of your proposal to the vision 2030 and the SDGs, that gives your proposal weight. So you might be in the field of humanities or physics or chemistry, but then you have aligned your proposal to the SDGs, then it has more weight. So it's the quality of the proposal that determines more than the field that determines.
So, Rusi, I have the feeling that anyone who comes here to study abroad or the people who get this scholarship, they have connection. Is it true?
I would personally say no. I would say no, and a very big no. I have not met someone who came through a connection. What I know is that sometimes it is difficult to get a German to host you. And for this, if you have identified one of the staff in the DAAD or a lecturer who has been to Germany, they can help you to get a host. But getting the host does not guarantee getting the scholarship. So all these, the German scholarship basically have 3 steps. One, you have to write to a host who has to be a German who is working at a research institution to accept you. Once they have accepted you, then you write a proposal together with your host and you submit it now to the funding body. Then is when they determine. So the only thing that maybe the connection can help in is in getting a host. That notwithstanding, there's a difference between a connection and networking. Networking is very important. Mentorship is very important because everyone will try, once you have mentored a student or once you have mentored someone, you know their abilities, it is easier for you as maybe a former DAAD scholar or a former Alexander von Humboldt Foundation to recommend this person, and you've already mentored them into the field of science. So I would also say mentorship is important. You can't ignore that, and it makes it a bit easier to go ahead into the field of research. So as a lone ranger, it's a bit more difficult, but if you have a mentor, definitely take care of that opportunity. But it is not, I would not call it connections. I would just say it's important to look for proper mentorship. Yes.
So, can you answer if someone has a degree anahitaji GPR? What are those?
I'm not sure what GPA is. General
So,
aggregated.
Johnston, you have to clarify that, please. And that is another one.
Uniswali, it looks like all the SDGs now, I
Yeah,
guess.
so that one, he got it. So,
Yeah, the SDGs are very important because you know that these are all funded by the EU and it's all funded by the UN. So most of the money that goes out for research are aligned along a certain SDG. Say, for example, gender equality. For example, equality in education, I think that's SDG 6. So if you are someone in the field of education and or you're a statistician and you write a proposal to try and, I don't know, map the effect of corona on the education, the quality of education in the rural areas in Kenya and in the, something like that. I'm just formulating, but it's in line
yeah.
with a certain SDG. Then if it's a really good proposal, you stand a higher chance of getting, rather than if your proposal does not focus on any of those. So it's not a direct thing, but it helps sometimes. So the important thing to remember is to have a really good proposal. That is very important. But the nice thing is that most of the time, especially if you are looking for a master's or a PhD, if you go through the first qualification of the DAAD, they are going to train you. But even for the first round, you have to write a good proposal. So I would say one of the things to do is to go online and see, how do I write a good proposal? What is a good proposal? What is a poor proposal? What goes into a good proposal? If there are some online courses you can take on how to write proposal, how to write a proposal. So the basic entries to, because even the host, to get a host in Germany, you still need at least a good topic that is interesting and that solves a problem that is existing in the world. So one thing I can advise when it comes to research is that the focus is not really on the money, but on the love for research. So if you are the person who you love research and you are interested in making a difference in this world that we live in, then it's a really interesting field to get into.
So, Lucy, in your case, how did you write? What was your proposal? For example, give an example how one should write.
Well, how one should write is a really broad topic. I think first you identify your area, because we all have areas. Someone is a scientist, the other one might be is a mathematician, someone in humanities, someone in the medical ground, someone in agriculture. So of course,
That's
first,
why I told you to give an example of your field.
yeah, so in my field, mine was chemistry, and my proposal basically was in trying to develop green fuel, that is hydrogen fuel, in place of the fossil fuel that we use. So as I said, one of the SDGs is to have sustainable environment, and also a sustainable to reduce the environmental pollution that comes from CO2, that basically comes from the fossil fuels that we use in the cars and in the industry. So my proposal was mainly to try and find an alternative to the main kind of gasoline that we use, and that was hydrogen fuel.
That means the best thing is to check on where mostly we are weak, maybe somewhere where we are weak and you want to improve it.
Yes, you'd also
Yeah,
be interested to check in maybe what is Kenyan Vision 2030, and see, is there somewhere where where your research can apply in meeting Kenya's Vision 2030, because we are all working as a team, and research is not something independent somewhere. You want to contribute towards an already existing problem. So in these visions, the country and the world has already establish the existing problems. And then once you identify that, then it's important. I would just say the easiest I would tell anyone is just Google these simple words: how to write a good proposal. And if you
mhm.
take your time and read through the material that comes, the nice thing is that we have Google, and Google is free of charge. No one charges you for that, and you can take your time. If you take your time and look at Google and what it answers, then you'll definitely be able to write a very good proposal. You don't even need someone to help you on that. And above all, if you believe in God, you pray, and if it's God's will, you get the chance.
That's true. That's true. In everything, God first. Lucy, tell me, you mentioned somewhere that everything is free. What do you mean everything is free?
Or in terms of the research,
Yeah, in terms of getting this scholarship.
well, they sponsor. It's a full sponsorship, so that's the nice thing with either, whether it's a DAAD scholarship or an Alexander von Humboldt scholarship. So they will definitely, if you get the scholarship, they sponsor everything. That means they sponsor your ticket, they sponsor your visa, they give you enough money. I don't want to say a lot of money, but enough for you to live in Germany, and you have a comfortable life as you conduct research. So let me say free might not be the right term, because it costs the German taxpayers, but then they will cater for everything. So the best way, if you are coming to Germany to study, I would say the best way is to get a scholarship. If you could also come
Yeah.
without a
Lucy, I
scholarship.
know that you have a kid or a family here in Germany. When you get the scholarship, does it mean your husband will come, your kid will come, everybody in your small family will come?
Yes, if it is either a DAAD scholarship or it's an Alexander von Humboldt scholarship, at the point where you are accepted, they ask you if you are married, if you have children, and all this. Then they ask you, do you want them to come? And if you want them to come with you, they pay you enough money for all your nuclear family. So they'll pay you enough money for, and again, I underscore enough. I don't mean too much, but enough for your nuclear family to live reasonably here in Germany. So they'll cater for all of them, including the children. For most DAAD scholarships, in case your partner and your children cannot come, then you're given at least an air ticket once in a year to go back home and back to Kenya and visit them. So I would say yes, the scholarship, it's the most comfortable way to do research, because if you have the scholarship, you don't necessarily have to do an extra job, only if you want to, but it's normally sufficient to take care of you and your children here in Germany. And your husband also, when he comes, he gets an allowance, or your wife, if he comes, he gets a spouse allowance. So there is a spouse allowance and there is children allowance if they're in Germany. And if they're not in Germany, you probably get an air ticket to go and visit them once in a year.
So that means even take an example, your husband is here and you are here and you have your kids here. That means if your husband is not working, will he get something or he has to work?
No, even if he's not working, he gets a spouse allowance that is sufficient for him to survive through the month. And your children also, every child gets a child allowance. So you'll get, if you have 3 children, you get a child allowance for 3 people. If you have 1 child, you only get for 1 child, and they'll take care of your insurance. And I would say if you're coming with a scholarship, all the basic needs will be met. So you don't, people on scholarship don't have to struggle with extra job. But if you come, for example, to do a master's or a PhD without a scholarship, it's still possible. There are people who come without a scholarship, but you need to work extra apart from doing your research, so that you can be able to, pay your rent and pay the school fees. And that sometimes it's quite taxing. I could say it's quite taxing, and it can interfere with your output in research.
So that means your husband can also do a college here or work. There is no problem.
Yes, your spouse or whichever spouse or the husband or whoever comes, they're allowed to do a job. But this is Germany, so it means there's a level that he's allowed to earn. If he's earning more than a certain level, then he does not qualify anymore for the allowance. It's just simple logic.
Yeah.
So there is a limit. So even if you're on a scholarship, you can do an extra job, but there is a limit to which you are allowed to do the extra job legally. The scholarship states how much you can work. So you can't come on a scholarship and work throughout the night to get a lot of money. You're supposed to focus on your on your research
Yes.
and your research. That's
On what brought you here?
Yes. So just like maybe you already know, so far Germany is a bit strict on working regulations. There's a limit to which you can do anything. You can't just work and earn extra money like that. So even your husband can come or your wife can come, and they can also get a master's or another PhD or do an extra job to a certain limit. They're allowed to do that.
Yeah. Just tell me, now because scholarship, they don't need the German language. What can you advise people? Since one want to come and study, is it necessary for anyone out there to learn the German language?
Actually, that statement is not true in its totality. The process is just different. For the scholarship, you first go through the process until you get the DAAD scholarship or the Alexander von Humboldt scholarship. Once you receive it, the foundation pays for your language school and allocates you to a language school. So normally it's in the Goethe Institute, but they will pay for everything. They will just tell you from this day to this day, you should be attending the course. And when you come to Germany, they also pay for you an institution to go and learn German first. So they have taken care of this because it's important to know the language. Otherwise, life is not so easy. In the universities, they speak English, but still you integrate in a society. So life is not so easy if you don't know the language. So what the scholarships, the foundations normally do, they sponsor your language course. So you don't have to do it on your own. And two, the thing that I can also assure someone is that normally the visa, apart from this time for Corona, the visa on a scholarship is much easier to get than other visas. Yeah.
So right now, were you forced to go for the German language, or they told you you can go when you want? Was it a must?
Well, it is not. It depends. If you are a master's and a PhD student, yes, it's a must. They don't give you an option. At postdoc level, you are told, you are advised that it is better if you go for it. And normally you have to do it at the beginning. So before you start your research, you first do the language school and then you can start your research. So that when you start your research, you don't have to break it to do something else.
Ruthie, could you advise somebody to take such a step of coming for 3 years, or you said you are allowed to go home? What is your advice? Is it worthy?
Most definitely is worth it. But first, you have to ask yourself, are you a research lover? So if you are a research lover, it is really worth it, because Germany is very developed, just like maybe the US and other developed country. The technology is very much advanced. The level of research is very much advanced. So the exposure that you will get in terms of research is very high. Secondly, the visibility that you get here is much higher than someone who did not. Normally, when you go back to Kenya after you have been trained in Germany or any equivalent, you stand a much better chance, to even start a business or to get a promotion. You stand a much better chance than someone who did not. So I would advise it is worth trying. If maybe you are having a degree in education or you are having a degree in computer science and you want to come and do some artificial intelligence or something, it's a good place to come, because you will be trained, you will have a proper networks after that, and it will really boost your CV. So, and of course, the experience is worth it, to experience another world, to experience how do other people in the developed country do research, what are their research ethics, how do they formulate their questions, how do they live their lives, and what makes it different, what makes their research different from ours. It's definitely very, very worth it. I would just discourage the notion that if you are thinking of it in terms of money, then you might be a bit discouraged, that you might discover that the money is not as much as you have thought. But if you're thinking of it in terms of developing your career, taking some 2 or 3 years or 4 years to sharpen your career, and when you move much faster, then it is definitely worth coming.
So, Ruthie, I have a question. Since at my side, I just went to Form 4 and came in German. So I was not exposed to going to college, university, or anything. So just tell me, you had already done your bachelor back in Kenya.
Yes.
You had gone further. So that means you had experience in Kenya. How did you find it? Was it different from people are telling me that they have experience diploma here, or they are nurses, and I try to tell them that when you come here there is a small difference, or there is a difference that you feel you are confused. How was your experience?
Yeah, it's very different, I must say. It's just as different as when you step in Germany. The infrastructure is different from the infrastructure that we have in Kenya. The research is very different. The way they organize their studies and the way they approach learning is very different. I think it's just like saying the curriculum, like the Kenyan curriculum and the German curriculum is very different. For example, we don't start to teach children until they are age 6. And in Kenya, the children are taught at age 4. So those differences are there even at the level of at research level and at university level. I would generally say definitely the quality of education is better here than it is in what we have in Kenya. That is why in most cases, in terms of research, Kenya is categorized as one of the countries that is lagging behind in research and in all areas, definitely. And that makes it good for scholarship, because then a lot of fundings from the UN, from UNESCO, and from Europe are targeted towards improving countries that are lagging behind in research, and Kenya happens to be one of those that is categorized as lagging behind in research. So there's a very big difference in the way they approach research, in the way they think, and also I would say in the way they are thorough in doing their work. I think some of those things that in Kenya we lack. I used to laugh with a friend of mine that, if you're conducting an experiment in Kenya and maybe a measuring cylinder lacks, you are going to just take a volumetric flask and say, even this one can do, let's just do it and finish. But here, it's not the case. If a measuring cylinder is missing, we stop the experiment, we buy a measuring cylinder and use the
Exactly.
right thing for the, yes, you have to do the exact right thing for the right. So there's those small differences that make a very big difference at the end of the day. So then I would say it makes a very big difference to experience research in Germany.
So that's true. That's true. I think that there we are together. Even me, I usually see for them when they are doing something and something is missing, they have to stop. They have to wait until they get the right thing. So, Rusi, our 30 minutes are gone and we got the right information. I think people who are interested, you have taken them to another step. Could you tell me, Rusi, now that you are maybe after you are, I don't know how long you are you are to remain here, will you go back, or what is your advice to those people who came just like you to come and do research? What is your advice? Are you going back home or what? This is a question I should not miss.
Well, personally, I would say I'm going back home. Main reason because I have been trained and I hope to have the opportunity to train other people, other Kenyans more specifically, to motivate and encourage other women and tell them, look here, I also did not have connections. I was always not the best student in class, but just through determination and through putting my best feet forward and through trusting in God, I've been able to go all the way to Germany and come back. So I think there are so many younger women in Kenya who also, it's nice to see the social media socialites, but it's also nice to see other women who have gone before you in science and they're still surviving, they're still alive. So then I would prefer to go back in Kenya and hopefully be able to do some research. I would say it depends. Some people want to stay and it's perfectly okay. The good thing is if you come to Germany via research, you're already qualified. It is not difficult to get another job in Germany, in the US, in Canada. I know a lot of my colleagues, after they finish the same fellowship like me, they easily get jobs anywhere. So I could also get a job anywhere in the world that I want to. But if your intention is to go back to Kenya and also contribute to, in a small way, to developing your department or your country or in whichever way. So it's a personal decision what someone's intention was. So to stay or to go back, I would say it just what your vision in life is, what you want to achieve when you are 60 or 70 years. What will you be proud of? Will you be proud of staying? Will you be proud of going back? I think that's an important question to answer as you direct your career path, not just think of now what's comfortable, but then what about in the next 60, in the next 20, 30 years, when I'm 60, when I'm 70, when I retire? How would I be proud that I lived that life well? Because one day you come to a point where no matter how rich you are, the riches does not matter. You cannot walk anymore. You cannot enjoy the riches anymore. You're just old. That's the thing. And what will you be proud of living a life worth living for? So then everyone is free to decide which direction they think is best.
And that's why people should understand us, because I could urge you also to go back home, because there are people who are waiting to get what you got. They are waiting for you so that they can run from you. But tell me, where am I going? What should I run? Whom should I teach?
It's a personal
I
decision.
know every pot with its top. Maybe I will pass somewhere, but let us. So, Rusi, I'm happy
I see
that
there's a
you
question that
got
says,
time for us.
do they
And I hope people have got something from us. And they are telling us to put the link here. Please let me know the link so that I can attach it here. And you have a good night or good day, wherever you are. I know over 12 countries are watching me. I was amazed. And have a good day, night, or else. I don't know. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye. God bless you.